right, I promised a couple of people my brain injury story. So, June 4th, 2007, I suffered a major brain trauma. MBT, capital M, capital B, capital T. I was trying to think if that rhymed with the Music Man song. Anyway, June 4th, 2007, Monday, I was at Mick and Mac's bar in Long Beach, California, hosting karaoke. And I had been feeling badly for about a month. I was sleeping all the time. And not the kind of bad where, I have the flu or, nothing you can put your finger on. I just didn't feel right. And I had gone to Puerto Rico 2 weeks before this. A lot of things. I had done a lot of things. And I slept for most of the Puerto Rico trip. Anyway, so now we'll take you to around 10 o'clock p.m., 10:30, something like that. I don't remember. I am telling you what was told to me. I walk up to Laura and I said, I just don't feel right. Somebody was singing. I just don't feel right. She said, I turned around to walk back because it was the end of the song. I turned around to walk back over to my equipment, and she said, I just went straight down. And on my way down, I hit my head on the high cocktail table. I hit my head here. I hit my head here. And then that threw me backwards. And I went down. And they said my head sounded like a bowling ball hitting the floor. Blood instantly. I'm told it was a very large puddle of blood. I mean, like a 5-foot round circle of blood. I'm sure that's a little exaggeration, but that's what I was told. Which may not be. That's 2.5 feet, around my head. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So I broke my head open, is essentially what happened. I broke my head open. So the paramedics come and they ask everybody, what is she on? Because I'm in a bar. What is she on? Nothing. I've been drinking water. I don't, first of all, I don't do drugs. Don't even smoke pot. I mean, I'm not against it. I just don't. I drink water when I'm working. So I've been having water. So they took it very seriously. I mean, not that they wouldn't take it seriously if I had OD'd or something, but now we don't know what the problem is, so they take it very seriously. And I guess they had to put me on that bodyboard where they tie you down and your head's pinned down and all that. I get taken to Long Beach Memorial. And it turns out that I had had a stroke. Now, it was a minor stroke. They told my family that the stroke was so minor, if I hadn't broken my head open, I probably would have just thought I was dizzy. And keep in mind, I had been very dizzy for the month before and very tired. Turns out I'd been having a lot of minor strokes. And there's actually a word of what I had. There's a name of it. But what it boils down to is a bunch of tiny little super mini strokes where you just think you're dizzy, but you're actually having strokes. They said I'd been having them for a while and I'd had several of them. Of course, they can't tell you the number, I guess. I don't know anything about it. So that's what happened. suffered from major brain trauma. As a result, they told my family that I would be like a 3-year-old the rest of my life, the type of brain injury that I had. I would be like a 3-year-old the rest of my life to go home and make preparations. I'd never be able to work again. I would certainly never drive again. I would not be able to be left by myself, just like you would do a 3-year-old. Anyway, that's what happened. I had major brain trauma. I don't remember any of this. I know that I was in ICU for a total of 8 days. I hit here, and here. And this, I guess, is where your cognitive function is, knowing how to behave and what to say and what not to say, knowing how to act. I don't remember what this area of the brain controls. And I hit the very back of my head when I hit the floor. I hit that the hardest. And that, I'll explain that in a minute, how that affected my life. So anyway, I get out of the hospital eventually, and I can't be left alone and all of that. And, you know, so Laura had babysitters for me. She stayed home as long as she could. Dennis eventually flew out for 2 weeks to stay with me so that she could go to work. She had to go out of town for a little while. In the meantime, I have to go through therapy. I had to go through physical therapy, occupational therapy, cognitive therapy. The thing is I knew I didn't have to learn like how to brush my teeth. I had to learn to brush my teeth. Like, if you put the toothbrush in my hand with the toothpaste on it, I would just stand there. I didn't know what you wanted me to do. But if you'd say, Dawn, brush your teeth, I would brush my teeth. Or at first you had to say, Dawn, put the toothbrush in your mouth. Dawn, brush your teeth. I had to learn things like that. I had to learn to eat. Not how to eat, but you'd sit me at the table. I didn't know what you wanted me to do. Dawn, pick up the fork. Put some food on your fork. And I knew what to do if you told me, if you gave me directives. That took a while. And then cognitive therapy was the last thing I did, and I'm pretty sure that was after Dennis came and went. I barely remember Dennis's visit. But that's where I had to learn how to talk. And I don't mean ABC 1, 2, 3, but not to say it just because I'm thinking it. I also had to learn how to say my M's and N's again. I remember money, Mary. I remember saying these words and having homework, and N's and M's, I guess I was confusing in my brain as I was speaking. So I defied the odds. I'm obviously not like a 3-year-old. The doctors, even 2 years later, all of that I think took about 6 to 7 months. And then they released me to go back to work part-time. For a long time, for about 2 or 3 years, I couldn't drive more than 20 minutes at a time. I would drive 20 minutes and take a 2-hour nap. I mean, everything exhausted me. And driving is like one of the hardest things you can do. And I'll never drive a motorcycle again. I keep my endorsement just because I don't want to let it go. But driving a motorcycle is a lot more mentally exhausting than driving a car. Most people cannot tell that I had a brain injury. I mean, it was a long time before I could take more than one directive at a time. I remember Laura coming home and asking me, giving me 2 directives. She asked me to do something, and I don't remember now what it was. I was doing it. I just had to like get a fork out of the drawer or something. And in the middle of that, she asked me, did you check the mail? And I broke down. I mean, I had a little anxiety fit because it was too much information. It was too much information to process. I would get upset very, very easily. And I know even a year later, I would get upset very easily. You couldn't do that. You couldn't overwhelm me with information. I know a year later when I flew to North Carolina for Dennis's wedding, one particular day I was overwhelmed because I had 3 or 4 people talking to me at one time, and I kept saying, stop, stop, stop. They don't get it. People don't get it. That it's not because you just want them to shut up, because I cannot process it. And I had a huge anxiety attack. So even a year later, I was still affected by the stroke, and I was still affected by the brain injury. So anyway, today, most people can't tell. I still have memory issues. I completely lost the 6 months before my brain injury. To this day, I have little glimpses, but I don't have a real memory. The 2 years following the brain injury, the first 6 months, I don't have any real memories. I know Dennis came during that time, and I kind of remember that, but not really. I remember little sniglets here and there, but the first 6 months is pretty much non-existent for the most part. And for the year and a half after that, hazy at best. But even now I have memory issues. I might ask you the same question 3 or 4 times in 30 minutes. And it's not that I forgot what your answer is. I don't even remember asking it. So you have to be very patient to be with me. A lot of people aren't. They get frustrated and yell at me. Sometimes I still feel a twitch. This side of my face will twitch. And I'm told you can't see it, but I can sure feel it. Sometimes I can hear my speech. I'm slurring and I'll sound a little drunk. People tell me they can't hear it, but I can. I can hear it because I can feel my mouth not forming the words properly. So it's not so bad that it stands out. It's just minor inconveniences. Now here's the thing. They told me when it happened, they told everybody, and even the doctor told me a year later during one of my exams, there was no medical reason for me to be having these strokes. I was in perfect health. My cholesterol was sickeningly perfect, to quote Dr. Budman. Sickeningly perfect. My neurologist said there's absolutely no reason for me to have the stroke. I was in perfect physical condition at that time. You could not pinch an inch anywhere on me. I was tough. I was hard as a rock. Then they told me that they don't know why it happened, but it'll probably never happen again. And that kind of bothers me, because if you don't know why it happened, how can you promise me that it will never happen again? How can you do that? How? Maybe it will never happen again, but how do you know that? If it shouldn't have happened to begin with, how do you know it will never happen again? So, it's not funny when people find out about my brain injury story and they say, oh, that's no big deal. I can't remember things either. That's age. Fuck you. It's not age. I have a fucking major brain trauma. That's why I can't remember things. Do not compare my issue to your growing old. Don't do it. It's disrespectful. I don't do that fucking bullshit to you. Don't do it to me. Just because you can't see a bandage on my head doesn't mean I don't have issues. Doesn't mean I don't have issues. Sure, I'm getting older and I will have some normal aging issues, but I have major brain trauma. I can't remember things in a major way. Big difference. Big difference. It's not funny when you come up to me and say, hey, I loaned you $50. Fuck you. It's not funny. You're making fun of a handicap. When is it ever funny to make fun of a handicap? If you want to make fun of something that I have control over that I've done, I'm fine. You know, if I do something silly that I had control over, I will laugh with you. I know I do silly things. You wouldn't laugh at somebody with autism. You wouldn't laugh at somebody with diabetes. You don't make fun of people with brain injuries. You just fucking don't do it. You're not funny. And you would not believe, you know why I'm so upset? Because you would not believe how often I have to have this conversation, that it's not funny. I'm going to go out and live life. I'm doing this world trip while I can. I'm fortunate enough that I have a job that allows me to do it. But one thing this brain injury taught me, you never know when your life's going to be taken from you. At best, I'm supposed to be a 3-year-old. At best. Most people with strokes die, permanently paralyzed, parts of their body, permanently disabled in a major way. At best, I'm supposed to be a 3-year-old. I've been given a second chance, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't put up with bullshit from anybody. So, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to live my life because you are not promised tomorrow. And that, everybody says that, but you don't really wrap your mind around it until you have a life-altering event. And I did. I had a life-altering event that almost took my life from me. Even if I had lived and I were a 3-year-old, it still would have taken my life from me. They don't know why I improved, other than the doctor told me, all 3 of my doctors told me they'd never seen anyone take their rehabilitation as seriously as I did. If they had told me to stand on my head an hour every day, I would have stood on my head an hour every day. They told me to play video games and crosswords and different things like that, and I did. Laura would have to pry the Game Gear stuff out of my hands. I'd be like, no, the doctor said I have to do this. But I just worked my brain. So I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew that I was going to be a burden. And that's my number one fear, so I'm going to be a burden to someone. And I fought so hard. I fought so hard to come back, and I've come back. I'll never be 100%. I am mentally walking with a limp. You just can't see it. But I'll be walking with a limp the rest of my life. And it's okay. I've been given another chance. So, if I ever seem to be anxious, that's why. I'm probably being given too much information to process at one time. I am lucky. I wasn't really lucky. I worked hard to get to where I am. I went back to college. See, that was in 2007. I went back to college in 2012, so 5 years later. I finished in 2015 with a 3.86 GPA. I worked hard. I worked my fucking ass off. I worked hard to get to where I am right now, and all odds were against me. Every odd was against me. So, Here I am. And there's certain people that I don't want in my life. This is why I cut people out of my life. Life is too short. Don't spend it letting people tear you down. Don't spend it letting people wear you down. People say, oh, it's your family, you gotta let them in. You know, you only have one life and then they're gonna die and you're gonna regret it. Fuck that bullshit. There are certain people in my life that kept me down, that have been abusive my entire life. Cut them out of your life. Don't look back. Life is too short. I decided a few years ago, if you're not going to be a positive influence in my life, you are not going to be in my life. So y'all, go have a good life. Go have a good life. It's not too late to live your happy ending. I am proof of that. I am proof of that. Like I said in another video, there's nothing special about me. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I'm an average person. I'm an average person. If I can overcome the odds, so can you. I don't want to hear that you can't, because I came from nothing. I had no money. I had no family to mention. You know, active everyday family. I don't have one. I have some great friends, a small handful of great friends, and I would not change that for the world. It's never too late to live your happy ending. You make your destiny. You do. No one else. Not even God in heaven, if that's what you believe in. If you believe in God, God will give you opportunity. He will not do it for you. He will open doors. It's up to you to walk through that door. I don't believe in God. I believe I make my own destiny. But isn't that the same thing? I have to keep my eyes open for opportunity. If you believe in God, you're keeping your eyes open, listening for Him to open the door, and then you have to walk through it. You have to walk through it. He's not going to walk through it for you. It's called free will. I came from no family, no money, literally no money. I had like $78 in the bank when I left the bad situation that I was in. You can do it. I'm nothing special. You can do it. I hope there's someone out there today that needs to hear this. You can do it. I did it. I'm doing it. I'm far from done. Far from done. It's been 11 years since my stroke. It's been 6 years since I left. And it's just now coming into fruition. But if I had never started, I wouldn't be where I am now. If I had never taken that first step, I wouldn't be where I am now. You can do it. All right, guys. If you're watching this, I love you. I want to thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting my channel. Please share this video. This is not meant to be a negative video. This is me trying to be encouraging. This is me trying to lift you up. This is me trying to get you out there and out from underneath the badness that you're living under. This is me pushing you to do better. So share this video. Get it out there. All right? I love you. Bye-bye.